Hey there, it's Mr. Tush over at Global, and I'm going to take a look at the subtracting from the score for losing points for missing the sprite. So in other words, a lot of you have figured out how to add a point to your score and report that every time you gain one, but subtracting is a little bit different. And so it uses something called logic, and we have not yet gotten into this logic drawer over here. So we're going to do that together right now. Well, first thing we need to do is we need to look at it. It's touching the canvas, but not touching the sprite. So we got to get an event handler for the canvas. So it's when canvas touched. Here we go. And I'm going to throw that in there. Now you'll see there are three parameters, the X and the Y. The X and the Y are going to talk about locations, X and Y being the axes of the canvas. And then you have this touched any sprite, and it's going to be about whether or not the sprite was touched. And in order to evaluate this, well, every time I have to have an evaluation, what did the touch mean? Did it touch the sprite or not? I'm going to use something called an if-then. I'm going to grab my if-then, I'm going to throw it right underneath here. And I'm going to ask it, well, did it touch the sprite or not? And actually, I can't ask it an or. I have to say if it was touched or if it was not touched. In order to do that, I need to grab a logic block. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab this logic block right here, this light green logic block. And logic looks like math, but it compares two items to see if they're the same. And it's a lot like math, but it's not exactly like math. And in computer terms, it just checks whether two items are the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check whether the touched any sprite. So I'm going to say, look at touched any sprite, and tell me whether that's true or false. So I can't pick both true and false, so I have to actually say whether it's false. So when I touch the canvas, this says touch the canvas, but didn't touch the sprite, because the touch any sprite is false. Well, what do I do? That should be pretty straightforward. Then I'm going to set my global score, and I'm going to subtract 1, just like I did with the add one. I have to take a subtraction block, and I'm going to get my global score, and I'm going to take off 1, and there you go. Now, so far so good. I've now taken off a score, but I haven't changed the report to my user. So label save electricity. There's a bunch of things in here. Really, there I go. Set labels electricity text. And then I'm actually going to want to tell them, what the score says. So I'm going to want to use a join and concatenate. And I'll concatenate this exact thing. I'm going to copy and paste it. So I spell it exactly the same way. And then I'm actually going to go in here, copy and paste, and put it in here. And just a little hint, if you really wanted to be super fancy, you'd realize that this and this is code smell. We're repeating the exact same processes here. So you could create a procedure. Don't know that it's too necessary because you're not going to save a ton of code, but it is something you could do if you saw yourself having to edit these blocks in the future. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching.